You don't have to be a scientist to work out that if your mass is traveling in this direction with your punch, and this stretch reflex is also like an elastic band. In plyometrics they use it a lot, so Choi-Bo uses this principle too. The hand is traveling in that direction, so mass travels in the direction of the target. You don't have to be a scientist to work out that it's going to be much more effective than the punch I've just shown you. The same thing with Bruce Lee and his 1-inch punch. I was asked that by Greg Roselli, was challenging me on my knowledge and stuff the other day. What about Bruce Lee? He had a 1-inch punch. Well, it's a very great idea, but of course Bruce Lee can punch like this or like this. So Bruce Lee was a great martial artist. Which one's going to be more powerful, with an inch or with his whole body? So it doesn't matter if you're small, old, master or beginner. Choi-Bo techniques are the right methodology for health and also force production. So anyone can use them and benefit. So the last physical component of Choi-Bo that I must talk about is strength and resistance training, Pilates and somatics. Let's start with resistance training. Obviously Ronnie Coleman in the middle there. I would say that's very unhealthy. I said at the beginning slide, I'd explain to you why it's unhealthy, being excessively muscular. It's very easy to understand. For instance, your heart has to carry around a lot more weight. There's a huge amount of muscle density. It actually completely changes the structure of your joints. They have so much muscle. Here, weight also, the integrity of the joint is seriously challenged. It has to move out. You're not designed to have joints like that. I've trained with weights for years. I'm not a big guy, but I'm pretty strong, so I do use resistance training about once a week at a gym, or about once every 10 days. Minimum a couple of times a month. So resistance training, it challenges your tendons, ligaments, and joints. Also your bones, a lot of research into bone loading in the exercise science world. But resistance training is good because it makes your joints stronger. It's an important part of Choi-Bo. Originally I started off in Choi Kwon-Do many years ago, and I left because I felt I had more to offer and the system was incomplete. Now the reason why I'm big on resistance training in the Choi-Bo is if you're kicking and punching, you are challenging your body in quite a outward way. You must have strong joints so that you can perform. To not use resistance training once a week to try and strengthen your tendons, ligaments, joints, then it's not enough. Your body will not be strong enough. You should use resistance training to stimulate more strength around your major joints, but also a little bit more conditioning on your muscles. So many people I trained or witnessed in Choi Kwon-Do were unfit, overweight, and weren't using resistance training. So resistance training once a week, once every 2 weeks is a must. So the reason why this is so unhealthy, I mean, he's got a great physique, it's very inspiring to look at. The reason why inside is resistance training, too much of it is obviously drug use at that high level. The muscle changes its characteristic, again, adaptation process with exercise. Resistance training, the muscle becomes more like a tendon. It's called adaptation. So it becomes more solid. It's less malleable. It's less flexible. That's the characteristic of it. The science says that resistance training reduces what's called capillary density. I said I'd talk about that later on. Capillaries are this. Your heart is around here. Away from your heart, drain your veins, and then away from your heart, pump your arteries, and back into your heart. Your veins drain back into your heart, and that circulatory system pushes blood and oxygen around the body. So in a study done on bedridden people in hospitals that were in hospital for a month, 30 days actually, they aged 10 years. This is why all these companies, L'Oreal, all the big companies making money out of reducing aging with creams. The key to anti-aging is diet, 1, exercise, 2. If you want to live a long life, avoid aging, then I believe Choi-Bo, I'm 37 now, I'm getting better every single year, is you want to live a good life, avoid joint deterioration so you have full range of motion throughout your whole body, your cardiovascular system strong, your tendons, ligaments, joints, it's a complete system. Okay, so just sticking with Ronnie Coleman there. So too much weight training alters the viscosity, the characteristic, but the science is capillary density. So I want to just explain this because it's crucial people understand this in terms of anti-aging and health. There's studies on aerobic training, or most of the exercise science studies done around the world, brilliant actually, but they miss the point, a lot of them. They say it has a heart adaptation. The key to anti-aging and to long-term health is, and absolutely without any doubt, ask any doctor, is circulation. It's so obvious because it's your blood supply, or your arteries and veins and capillaries, tiny blood vessels, that supply the nutrients and oxygen to all of your body. Now, in a study done on people in hospitals that were bedridden for 30 days, or nearly 1 month, they found out on examination of they were assessing how much they'd aged in one study. These people in hospitals aged 10 years from being in bed 30 days. So this is why I say sedentary lifestyle is a killer. That means, not having a physically active life, and I would say gardening, is not enough. Walking is not enough. That's what the science says as well, not me. So it doesn't exercise your body enough. The reason being, again, I said, you adapt to necessity. However, proprioception gets used to what you do. It gets used to walking. That's why resistance training is key, because you cannot activate enough muscle fibers from walking. That's why you go to the gym and you use a leg press once a month. You stimulate more muscle fibers from that experience. It's the same when you walk up and down the stairs at your house every day. Your body gets used to that. The challenge wears out. That's why people at gyms who use walking machines don't lose weight. They are not challenging proprioception and gets used to it. Yes, they can run faster and raise the intensity, but if they're doing 20 minutes, every day for 2 or 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks the body gets used to it. The proprioceptive challenge has been adapted to. The body's got used to it. That's why in Choi-Bo we use patterns, because there's more challenge, much more on the brain. And then when you get to the highest one, a few people at the highest one now will develop a longer one. So re-challenge the mind, body, proprioception, more stimulation, growth. But sticking with resistance training, the science says resistance training decreases capillary density. Your heart, away from your heart, pump your arteries. Drain back to your heart are veins. In between the two should be capillaries. In America they call them capillarities. They're so tiny, capillaries, one blood cell can travel through them. They're so small. But capillaries should have an abundant network throughout your body. But again, it's use it or lose it. If you're not exercising regularly, then these muscles are unused. Too many people have absolutely terrible core strength. This area is so weak. So their spine becomes negatively impacted. Again, Choi-Bo is a whole system, mind and body. So much to it that you will experience an abundance of capillary density in your body. Therefore, it's a very powerful means as an anti-aging system. Of course, I'm vegan, I don't eat meat or dairy, and that's an important part, along with the exercise, to get the best out of it. So capillary density with resistance training, they're saying, scientific studies, is capillary density is diminished with resistance training. Okay, so with resistance training, the most important thing to understand is it decreases capillary density. The other thing it decreases is mitochondria. Mitochondria is the energy house of your cell. With aerobic training, mitochondria inside of your cell, it's like the engine of your cell, there's more of them. You develop more mitochondria with aerobic training. More mitochondria, more energy. With resistance training, science says mitochondria is decreased. So you have less energy, less of a powerhouse to your cell.